Hello and welcome to this short video on iron deficiency and rice biofortification. In this video, we're first going to look at iron deficiency. First we'll look at the impacts it has on the global scale, followed by some of the health impacts that it has. We'll then look at rice biofortification in terms of what this is and whether it could be the answer to this global problem. First, let's take a look at iron deficiency and some of the facts and figures about this health problem. There's no denying that iron deficiency is a huge global problem. It's currently estimated that around 60% of the population suffer from iron deficiency, and that 30% suffer from anemia, a common side effect of the problem. This equates to around 2 billion people, or more simply, just over 1 in 4. However, being from certain parts of the world puts you more at risk of suffering from iron deficiency, including sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and also parts of Central South America. In all populations, pregnant women are particularly at risk of iron deficiency, largely due to the blood that is lost through the reproductive years. Furthermore, iron demand increases during pregnancy due to the effects of the embryo. If iron consumption remains low during pregnancy, anemia can occur at this time. When it comes to more general health effects, iron deficiency has been linked to increased rate of infection and also increased rate of post-operative infection in adults. In children, there has been shown to be signs of reduced mental development and also signs of reduced motor development. Now, let's take a look at how iron deficiency may be treated in both the developed and the developing world. The developed world is largely made up of North America and Europe, where the large majority of people have access to healthcare. Therefore, if you are diagnosed as iron deficient by a doctor, they may simply tell you to eat more foods that are rich in heme iron, such as red meat. More simply, they may tell you to take iron supplements, with ferrous iron most commonly prescribed, as this is the form that is best absorbed by the human body. In the developing world, the situation isn't so simple. The majority of people here don't have access to healthcare, meaning that when it comes to iron supplements, they may simply not be available or also too expensive. Meat also only contributes around 4% of the daily diet here, and as you may have guessed, rice is the most important food source. Now, let's briefly consider the importance of rice, and particularly why it may be a really good target for biofortification. As we just touched upon, rice is arguably the most important food source in the world. It's a staple food for around 50% of the population, meaning that it forms a large part of the daily diet. Oryza sativa is the most commonly grown of all the rice species, and interestingly, India and China make up a whopping 50% of global rice production on their own. Now let's consider the role of biofortification. In simple terms, this can be described as strategies that aim to increase the nutrient content of a plant pre-harvest. There are multiple ways of doing this, however transgenic is what we will consider here. This is where a gene from one plant is inserted into another in order to enhance its properties. We've now considered the importance of rice and also what biofortification is. Let's now take a look at the evidence to see whether biofortification can actually be used to increase the iron content of rice grains. One of the first studies in this field targeted ferritin. This is an iron storage molecule that can bind up to 4,500 iron atoms. The question was therefore being asked of whether increasing ferritin will also increase iron content in the rice grain. To do this, a seed-specific promoter was used to insert the ferritin gene from a soybean plant into the rice. But did this work? This modification did in fact work, with an increase in the iron content of the grain observed. Importantly, there was an increase in endosperm iron content, a structure that remains after the rice is milled. Interestingly, researchers commented that when consumed as part of a meal, this ferritin rice could actually provide 30 to 50% of an adult's recommended daily iron. A later study focused on NAS, short for nicotianamine synthase. This is an enzyme that converts the protein SAM into nicotianamine. This protein has an important role in transporting iron in the phloem of the rice plant, and importantly, into the grain itself. Researchers here inserted the barley NAS gene into rice, and therefore asked the question of whether increasing nicotianamine production will increase the iron in the rice grain. Promisingly, nicotianamine levels did increase in the plant shoots, but did this increase iron in the grains? Yes, it did. Iron levels were shown to increase in both milled rice, that's rice containing the endosperm, and also the whole rice. In both cases, iron increased by around 2 to 3-fold. YSL2 was another point of interest. This protein transports the iron nicotianamine complex from the phloem and into the seed. It was therefore asked if increasing YSL2 expression also increased iron content in the grain. To do this, scientists overexpressed the rice YSL2 gene using the SUT1 promoter. This specifically targeted increased YSL2 levels to the phloem and also to the seed endosperm, essential parts of the plant's vascular pathway. But did this prove successful? Firstly, YSL2 expression was shown to increase around the ears of the plant, and importantly, iron content increased by up to 4-fold in both the milled and the brown rice. This can be seen on the graph on the right, particularly in the rice plants that are numbered 10 and 18. We've now seen 3 successful methods of using biofortification to increase the iron content of rice grains. One particular researcher asked if the 3 methods could be combined to generate rice grains with even higher iron content. Let's take a look at their results. In this study, 5 different promoters, including GLUB1 and SUT1, were used to create these ferritin NAS YSL2 rice plants. These promoters importantly targeted gene expression to the endosperm and the phloem, but the big question is, did this work? This did work, with a successful increase seen in the iron content of white rice, with up to a 6-fold increase seen in some of the transgenic rice lines. Furthermore, similar results were seen in a field trial. This shows that although the combination did not create a huge additive iron increase, it was shown that the increased iron content can be achieved using biofortification. Although these initial studies into the biofortification of rice to improve iron content have proved successful, let's think about whether it has a potential future in tackling the iron deficiency problem. Firstly, more extensive field trials are definitely needed to test whether these results can be found in the real world. Once these are complete, it also needs to be determined whether the biofortified rice can successfully increase a person's iron levels, and so may be an option for tackling iron deficiency. There may also be other potential biofortification methods out there that could prove more or less successful than those already tested. Finally, one huge stumbling block may well be the general opposition to GM food, and so convincing people to adopt iron biofortified rice will almost certainly be a huge challenge. This problem has been seen with golden rice, a biofortified rice developed in the 90s to try and tackle vitamin A deficiency. Although this project showed some promise in the early stages with successful field trials, this rice is still not available to farmers and those that arguably need it most. Should iron biofortified rice be used to tackle the iron deficiency problem, it's important that problems like these are considered. With iron deficiency being such a huge global problem, there's certainly no time to waste on this issue,